So TOMB45 and Babyliss, they came out with a massive collaboration this year that really made a lot of noise in the barbering industry. They released a pair of machines that is really trying to drive innovation and show the advancements in barbering technology. This release was talked about all over social media, and I knew that I wanted to get my hands on it. There's tons of reviews out there right now, but a lot of those reviews were released within the first week of the machine dropping. And so I wanted to take the last couple months with these machines and really get to know them, use them day to day in my everyday barber life, and so that I can give you guys a full and honest review. And as always, this is not a sponsored video. I paid for this machine myself. This was not sent to me or anything. This is my full, honest, and transparent review. All right, so let's talk about the clipper specs here. So it's got two speeds. It's got a dual speed motor. It's got a high speed of 7,500 RPMs, and then the lower speed is at 6,800 RPMs. It comes with the black titanium metal injection molded fade blade. That's a lot, or MIM for short. And it's got built-in oil reservoirs. It's got a 5-click lever, lithium-ion batteries. It provides a 4-hour runtime on a single charge. And I couldn't figure out how long it actually took to charge. I couldn't find any information on that. It has a compact and ergonomic design. It has a rubber grip and finger grooves for comfort on extended use. So this machine is capable of wireless charging, and it also has Type-C charging, and as well as your typical kind of barber charging cord. So these come with their own guards. They're green, they look cool, not much to say about them. And it also has the LED battery indicator on the machines themselves. And also, depending on where you buy these from, they are supposed to come with the charging pad. So this machine is very interesting. It's got some pros, it's got some cons. It has a lot of features that can be pretty helpful, but my question is, are they necessary? So let's talk about the design of this clipper. It's a cool looking machine. In terms of material and details, it's got a very, very premium finish. I love the materials they use on the rubber, the paint. You can tell that a lot went to designing this clipper. I love the subtle branding that they added with the TOMB45 logos on the power button and on the grip as well. And my favorite part about the design of this clipper is the green cutting blade as well as the screw. And it's got some nicely placed finger grooves here as well. However, it is a little bit fat to hold, and it does look short because of how wide this clipper is. I'd say I have about an average size hand, but I find it a little bit too girthy to hold. It's a little bit too wide in your hands. When it's closed like this, I have no problem reaching the lever around to open it. But when I'm trying to close the clipper from the open position, it requires a little bit more effort for me personally to get my thumb all the way around. It's not as smooth of an experience, or, you know, I have to think about it a little bit more than I would any other clipper, honestly. Just to reach over around like this and close the clipper, you know? It's such a small detail, but it adds up when you're using a clipper all day for 8 to 10 hours. You know, you do get a little bit of fatigue with that. I notice the difference a lot more when I put this clipper down and I go and use something else like the TPOB Play here. It just feels a little bit more natural to hold, and I don't have to think about reaching over here. There's some space right here because it tapers down a little bit. And now what makes this even worse is that it feels very heavy for a clipper that is fairly short. You know, it's not as long as your standard clipper, so you would think that it's a little bit lighter, but it is a very heavy clipper. And you know, that might have something to do with the built-in wireless charging, or maybe the dual speed motor. I'm not sure. Either way, it is a little bit heavy, and it is bulky to use every day, especially when you're going to use this for long hours. So now, even when I'm comparing it to an all metal clipper like the TPOB XO, you know, this feels a little bit heavier, even though they might even be the same weight, only because of how fat the bottom part of it is. Whereas something like this kind of tapers down and it just fits your hand a lot better and a lot more natural. So for the design of this clipper, it's a little bit heavy, it's bulky, it has a nice feel, a nice finish in terms of like the finger grooves and the rubber grip. I don't ever feel this ever like slipping out of my hand or anything. So those grooves help balance it out a bit, but it is just a little bit too heavy and too wide of a clipper for me, in my personal opinion. So now let's talk about the performance. The clipper, honestly, it performs well. It's what you would expect from such a big name kind of collaboration, Babyliss and TOMB45. It cuts through bulk very easily, no matter the hair texture. I've had no problems debulking like afro hair, thick hair, thin hair, anything with this clipper. So I mostly use the 7,500 RPMs mode, but it's good to have the slower option of 6,800 RPMs, mainly for beginners. That way you have a more forgiving fading experience. You're not gonna take a chunk out by accident if you don't know what you're doing. But this clipper isn't really for beginners, and there's one major reason why, and we'll talk about that more later. In terms of vibration, the clipper has pretty comfortable vibrations on both speeds, unlike something like the Stylecraft Instincts that just had way too much power on that vector motor. It felt like it was gonna explode out of your hand. This feels pretty nice, it feels pretty smooth, and it just overall felt smooth to hold in terms of the vibration. Now, it's not the loudest clipper out there, but it's also not the quietest either. It's nowhere near as loud as, again, the Stylecraft Instincts, but it's nowhere near as quiet as something like the TPOB Play. Now, this blade also worked pretty well. I am impressed with this blade. I like this blade. I love the design of it. You know, it's got the squiggly kind of grooves on there, and it's got the green cutting blade, which I think is really cool. It's never snagged on me or anything. I didn't even zero gap this, I just used it as it is out of the box. And the blade didn't get very hot either. The wall vapor blade, that got really hot, but this is all good. It opens up pretty wide as well, which I really like. It's got the 5 clicks, and I've had no trouble taking out soft guidelines. If you were gonna try to take out a very harsh trimmer guideline, you'll probably have to zero gap this, but that's like most other clipper blades nowadays. And it doesn't have the most satisfying crunch when you're cutting, but you'll definitely hear it cut, which is good. One thing I did notice though is this screw for the lever. This screw was screwed on really tight when I first got it. It was hard to open and close, so I had to just loosen that up a little bit. The star of the show for this machine is the battery, and more specifically, the way that it can charge. It has the standard clipper charger port, it's got the Type-C charger port, and it's also got the wireless charging if you have the wireless charging pad from Babyliss and TOMB45. So depending on where you purchase your machine, it does come with it for free, which is really good. Otherwise, if you don't get it, then you're looking to spend at least $55 on one. That's $55 Canadian. The battery life lasts about 4 hours, which isn't as much as other tools that I've used. It's not bad at all. And I couldn't find any information on how long this takes to actually charge. So to me, I think this was one of the main selling points of this collaboration was the wireless charging. The fact that it's built in is awesome. And it's not like an overpriced extra attachment that you gotta get like how they used to before with the TOMB45 like power pods and stuff like that. I never got into them. I just thought they were a waste of money. And it does work fast when you place it on the right spot on the pad. Overall though, it does have some quirks for me. You gotta really match this bottom part here to the bottom of the pad to get it to charge. Mind you, like when it is lined up, there's not much lag between the charging. It just kind of charges right away, which is sick. But you can't just expect to throw this on the mat anywhere you want and it'll charge. So you do have to pay attention to lining up the bottom of this machine to the bottom of the charging pad. So another problem I have with this, it's really based on the user and your station, is how much more space a charging pad takes up on my station, especially comparing it to a standard charging dock. When you have a charging dock, the machine sits, you know, vertically on your station upwards like this, whereas in a charging pad, it's laying down like this, right? So if you take this clipper, you can fit like 3 of these clippers with the charging dock, or this one had a pretty wide charging base, so you can probably fit 2, right? I have a lot of stuff on my station. I have my laptop, my spray bottles, Cool Care, my other clippers and everything. So for my station to have 2 charging pads now as well taking up space, when you know your standard charging dock takes up way less space and works just as well, to be honest, I'm having a hard time being convinced that this is the future of, you know, the way you would charge your tools. So now imagine having these charging pads with the FX1 system from Babyliss. So the FX1 battery systems, you know, the ones that you can take out the batteries out of the machine and then you have another charging station just for the batteries, but then your clippers are still there sitting around without the batteries, and then now you'll have the charging pads taking up space. It's a lot for something, you know, that a little charging dock like this one's for the play, can do. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that having this type of technology in clippers is a bad thing. I think it's pretty cool. I think, you know, wireless charging is cool. It's smart. It looks cool on your station. Even with the battery thing, I feel like that would be pretty satisfying, taking out the battery on your machine, loading it back up. They definitely have their uses, and there's definitely a place for them in barbering. I just don't think that technology is this groundbreaking innovation that's, you know, gonna change the barber world and how clippers are made. To me, as of right now, nothing works as good as your good old charging dock. You set your clipper on there, charge, pick it back up, you're good to go. One thing I noticed about the clipper though, when you have it on the wireless charging pad, is when you pick it back up, it does feel pretty warm to hold, you know, if you have it sitting there for like 10-ish minutes, you know? And I've never had a problem with that with any charging dock, really. So I said earlier in this video that this clipper is not for beginners. And it's not because of the way it performs. It actually performs pretty well. I think anybody should be able to use this machine. I think maybe it might be a bit too heavy for beginners, for a beginner to practice on this machine. You know, it could put some strain on the wrist or whatever, but that's not even the reason why I think it's not for beginners. The real reason why I think the machine is not for beginners is the price. This clipper is worth $219.99 USD or $269.99 Canadian. That is a very high price for a clipper. Even for me, a professional barber, I've been doing this damn near 10 years. You know, I have a good clientele. I found it hard to want to spend that money on this clipper and trimmer combo. I'll be honest, I only bought it so that I can review it for you guys. In comparison, a really, really good clipper. To me, a superior clipper, the TOMB Play, this is worth only $179 Canadian right now. That is almost $100 less than the Babyliss and TOMB45 machine. And you're getting a better tool, in my opinion. So in my head, for a beginner barber or someone's just looking to try out cutting hair, try something new, pick up a new hobby, for them to spend $300 on a clipper is just a little bit too much, in my opinion. So you can get the Play trimmer and clipper for $305 without a sale, but it's on sale right now for $206 Canadian. This one machine is $269.99 Canadian. It's just too expensive, and that's the main issue I have with it. So the clipper honestly cuts well, and it does the job that a clipper is supposed to do, and it does it, you know, efficiently. It doesn't do it too loudly. You know, it doesn't have any like crazy flaws, especially on its performance. It's got good power, good battery life. It's got a good blade. I actually really like this blade. It doesn't get hot unless, you know, you set it in the wireless charging pad for too long. It performs well with minor quirks, but the pricing of this clipper is the main major flaw, in my opinion. And that seems to be a common theme nowadays for a lot of brands, especially Babyliss. Babyliss is just, it's too expensive. I feel a ton of these companies nowadays are taking advantage of us barbers by having such a high price tag on these machines. You know, at least the clipper performs well. The Wall Vapor, another overpriced machine that I reviewed last month, honestly, for the price, it was garbage. And at least, like, you know, this has the wireless charger, which can be cool. I wish there was also a dock option for this thing, but we'll see. Maybe they'll come out with that in the future. So who would I recommend this to? I would recommend this if you're a barber, you got you're booked up, you make a lot of money, and you wanted to try something different. Sure, if you like the wireless charging and if you think that's cool, it is pretty cool, and you have the space in your station, sure, and you have the extra money to spend, go for it. If you know you wanted to have like a smart barber setup or something, you get your Amazon Alexa there on the side and you have your wireless charging clipper. If that's your thing, cool. Otherwise though, I wouldn't really recommend it for beginners. And honestly, if you have a clipper that you're using every day that you're comfortable with already and there's nothing wrong with it, I don't think it's worth dishing out $300 to use this machine. So anyway, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below.